And they named twice because he was so good. They couldn't just say he's a 10. They said he's 2 10s. He's a 10-10. Ladies and gentlemen, Xola Mlambo is also with us.
Sure, Ma. Good evening to the gentlemen and the listeners.
Ute uFigo, uLinda Mtambizolo. So donsa noXola. But uXola, even when he was playing, bekabheka coach emehlweni amtshela ukuthi no, that's not the one. As you know, you're drinking the team.
Don't my wrong, man.
My wrong, boy. So yeah, he's that kind of person. But let's get straight to it. There's a lot to talk about today, guys. We've got Coach Hugo. We're going to start with this one. Coach Hugo has bid his farewells. SAFA confirming that Coach Hugo is out of here. Then we're going to go to Kaizer Chiefs. A conversation that Mazola and I had on Monday that caught fire, apparently. And I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it here, because Coach Fernando de Cruz says that this team is not ready to compete yet. Speaking about Kaizer Chiefs, this is from the coach himself. You know, Mazola had his say on it, and it kind of went all sorts of ways. Sticking with Kaizer Chiefs, we're also going to speak about the acquisition of Pili and the players that they lost in order to acquire Pili. Then we're going to go to John Committees as well, down in Cape Town. He was here. He speaks about, he'd love to see the revert of 2 up, 2 down. No playoffs. He also speaks about Emile Witbooi. Why hasn't Emile moved? Is he going to move? Are we to see a move for Emile Witbooi? But also, he says that he's only ever seen 4 players in his life as an owner of a team like Emile Witbooi. Says Emile Witbooi is a generational talent. Who do you think the other 3 players are? I'd love to hear from you guys on that one. And then we had Basha Michaels here yesterday on Melusi Buthelezi. I know this one has gone a little viral as well because of what Melusi would have said before he was supposed to leave for Spain. So we'll get into all of that. It's just a lot to talk about. So we're not going to take a break right now. We'll go straight into it. Malcolm, let's hear from Dr. Danny Jordan, the SAFA president, speaking about Coach Hugo confirming that he's leaving.
We are here today to bid farewell to Coach. We are happy, and we want to thank him for the contribution that he's made, the team that he's built. But ultimately, we have established a very, very good team. And we want to thank you for that South Africa now is amongst the top 10 best teams on the continent. And we have a team that can compete. Of course, it's a huge challenge for us as we part ways and we have to find a new driver for the team.
Well, there it is. We're looking for a new coach as South Africa. If we're to believe the Minister of Sports, then it's Coach Pitso Mosimane that's coming into that position. Pitso, let's park that bus a little bit because we have exhausted it and we're still going to go at it. Coach Hugo Broos, he's out of here. Your thoughts, your memories, very shortly. I mean, we've spoken about Coach Hugo, but what legacy is he leaving behind?
A successful winning legacy. I think what we managed to do with that AFCON, where nobody really gave him a chance when they were going there, and to come out of there with a bronze medal, to come out of there with a bronze medal, and then to qualify for the World Cup. Mind you, in a group that had Nigeria, we won the group despite being docked points at some point. So I think what he managed to do, and then go to the World Cup and you get out of the group, despite everything that people were saying, not really happy with some of the approaches, but he got us out of that group stage. So I think it's a successful legacy and one that we can be really grateful for as South Africans. I just hate the way that it ended. I wish SAFA had, given this news a little earlier and allowed the coach to have a proper send-off from South Africans and, for people to really extend how happy they were, because I think the way that they ended it made it seem like we were saying, as opposed to people just saying, thank you so much for everything that you've done for South African football.
Xola Mlambo, when we speak about Coach Hugo Broos in the future, what do we say?
No, he deserves his flowers, honestly. But I want us to get away from the stigma of celebrating mediocre, man. We never won a cup with Coach Hugo, that we know. I think the person that is rightfully to be celebrated as it is for Mena, it's still Utlef Park. He has taken through us the CAF and brought the trophy back. Coach Hugo, yes, he brought change. But for Mena, I think we have to congratulate him and applaud for what he did. But he did not give us the success that we're talking about. Unless our failure we regard it as success.
But you got to look at Coach Clyde Barker achieved 2 big things, right? He won AFCON.
Yep.
And he qualified for a World Cup.
Yep.
This is 98.
Yeah.
These are the 2 things he did. You take a look at Coach Hugo Broos, qualified for the World Cup, qualified for 2 AFCONs, got a bronze, at some point had the longest unbeaten run, top 3 in the world.
Which is great, and that's why I say he deserves his flowers. But not for us to idolize him as if like he had made something that we've never seen before.
And qualified out of the groups, by the way. I forgot that.
That's the only one thing that he did that our previous coaches hasn't done.
So Clive Barker still number 1?
For me, he still is.
You know, the only reason I'm gonna agree with Ola here is because when Coach Hugo Broos was asked about his greatest achievements, he said winning AFCON with Cameroon.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Which therefore means that outweighs a qualification into the next round. So by his own thinking, Clive Barker is still number 1. By his own thinking. Pro, what are your thoughts? Coach Hugo Broos, we're saying goodbye to
him. I think Putandile, he has served South Africa well. I think he has made us proud. He has made us believe in Bafana once again. And we are forever grateful for what he has done and what he has achieved with the local players. And of course, I fully agree with his thinking. Clive Barker remains the best ever coach here in South Africa. But what Hugo Broos has done and what he has done for South African football and for the PSL as well, I think it's something that we will always be grateful for as South Africans, and we wish him nothing but the best in the future. I hope that from time to time he comes back to contribute in South African football, whether it's junior national teams level or even in women's football. Why not? Why can't we utilize his experiences and services as an advisory when it comes to promoting more development and women's football? And you always need his wisdom, and I think that for me, yes, it's okay. An advisor, as a consultant, I think he can still contribute to 1 or 2 positive things in South African football.
Right, that's Coach Hugo Broos. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your thinking in and around the legacy that Coach Hugo Broos leaves behind. Let's move on. And yes, we're about to speak about Kaizer Chiefs, the biggest team in South Africa. And with that title comes a lot of validity in talking. With that title comes a lot of people wanting your opinions, your thoughts on the team. So just deal with it. And this time around, it's their coach, right? Just coming off the trip, coming back into South Africa, being asked questions on the squad, the state of the squad, the state of readiness, whether it's going to compete this season. Have a listen to what Fernando de Cruz said about this team this season. And then, Chiefs also making the breakthrough on acquiring Upili with the deal that saw the swapping of the players, of course. Let me start with you, Pro, here. I don't know what you made of or your interpretation of what the coach said in that statement.
There's a lot that one can draw from what the coach has said, but looking at the player that they've acquired for the upcoming season, I think for me, I understand what he wants to manage expectations and he wants to manage emotions. But this is Kaizer Chiefs, my guy. They are expected to challenge for the league title, and I strongly believe what they will. I think Chiefs, emotions aside, I think they will challenge for the league. I think they will be counted among the best teams in the league this coming season. And with Umeja now being signed, he's going to give them a lot of options. I think he can play down the wing. He can play as a second striker. I think he's got an eye for goal. A very, very good dribbler, and I think we developed him well at Amazulu. Stellenbosch polished him well. Chiefs will be getting a final product that will take them to another level. He's definitely a sailing razor for them, and with him playing alongside Umdu Shabalala, I think Chiefs are going to be very dangerous up front. But then the coach just need to show confidence in his team so that the fans can back him up. I strongly believe with the type of player that he has and the quality of the team that he has, I think Chiefs, for me personally, I think they will challenge for the league.
All right. What do you make of the swap deal?
I'm not happy with the fact that they've allowed someone like Ukevin Msimango to go down to Stellenbosch. I thought that Msimango, whether you pay him with Uzeta Kwinika, whether you pay him with Miguel, or even if you pay him with Dosley when he returns, I thought for me, Msimango gave them a lot of calmness at the back. He's very strong aerially. He's far better than Miguel aerially, and I strongly believe he would have given them a lot of options at the back. That's the only release that I'm not happy with when it comes to Kaizer Chiefs. But with Ashley, obviously he wasn't playing much, and you could see he was not going to get a lot of opportunities as well because Usilva, I think, is their main striker, and there's also Itiosa Ighodaro, who's also a different profile player, and it was going to be difficult for Ashley to break into the team. But with Msimango, for me personally, I thought he was still going to give Chiefs more years.
Msimango, Ashley Dupree, and we understand some cash as well for Upili.
Cash is just to manage the situation, but losing quality of Msimango, for me, I don't think it happened at the right time for Chiefs.
Listen, I've seen Pili play, and I think he's going to be a great talent, and I think he's going to do well. But Ashley, Msimango, and some money on top of that, Kola?
It's a bargain. Seriously, Stellenbosch are the winners on this one, ma. No, they won. You look at the experience ga Msimang. You look at the experience ga Dupree's. Dupree's still quick, can still add value at Stellies. Given is solid at the back, he gives you the height advantage, and aerially he's strong.
I love both those players.
You know, they are very quality players. We cannot look away from that. They benefited, to be honest. And the reason why I'm saying that, probably Chiefs has signed a quality young player. He is one for the future. You know, if they're going to put pressure on him now, it might not work out good, because we know the pressure that comes with big teams. It's not the same. Don't have that freedom that you have at Stellenbosch. You can do as you like, and there's no supporters that are going to be at the back of your head. But when you're at Chiefs, one little mistake, internet has you for a good season or even more, you know. So he's one for the future. They made a great signing, but they suffered a great loss.
And then while you're at it, you heard what the coach said. What was your interpretation of what the coach is saying?
I don't want to read much into what the coach is saying, because if there was much in whatever that he is saying that Chiefs is not ready to compete as yet, I think the list of players that he would want to sign would have been long by now. It could be like a curveball that he's playing. He wants the pressure to be shifted and the focus not to be laid upon Kaizer Chiefs, so that he can have his freedom to prepare and plan and surprise people. I think they have a fairly strong squad. When you even look at the last game that they played, it's balanced.
Piso, there's two things here. There's a swap deal that sees Kaizer Chiefs finally get their man in Pili, but also you've got the two players that then go down in some cash, and then there's a coach saying that, we're not there yet.
Yeah, like I said, I've always been excited about the prospect of Langelihle Pili playing for one of the big teams. Last season, I think it was 9 goals and 1 assist in all competitions. You see, so he's a player that has that efficiency up there, especially for a Stellenbosch team playing last season. So 7 of those goals were in the league. So it's a good player to have. I'm just not sure about the manner in which it has happened, the money, and then the 2 players that have been swapped. If you remember, in Ashley Dupree, when he signed for Kaizer Chiefs, it was the same excitement of his pace and the finishing ability he had shown in Stellenbosch. But I think the one that worries me the most is the given Msimango one, because I'm looking at that Kaizer Chiefs defense now, and you've got a Aiden McCarthy that left earlier on in the window. Now you've lost Msimango. The game that we watched a week ago, Cross came off with a bit of an injury. Dotley is coming back from an injury also, so he's not really match fit yet. So you're looking at them going into the season, starting the season now with Moloesane, Kwinika, and Miguel as the 3 experienced centre backs in the team starting the season. You're going to be playing the league, you're going to be playing the MTN 8 also. I just worry in that sense whether or not they will be able to sustain it for long enough with those 3. If anything happens to any of them, then it's a case now of you only have 2 for the games that are coming up. So I think that would be my worry with it. As for what the coach said, I think it's a matter of perspective of how you look at it. You can look at it and see a negative in it, you can look at it and see a positive in it. I think the coach was being realistic, like you were saying to Umazola in that discussion that you were having. But then I think on the other hand, also, I'm not sure if realism is your job as a coach. An analyst can come and say the club is not ready or the squad is not ready. But as a coach, if you come out and say that, that's probably not what the fans want to hear. And then now you're also thinking of the players. If I'm in the squad and I'm hearing my coach saying we're not good enough to compete yet.
No, we're not ready.
We're not ready to compete
That's different
yet.
We're not good enough.
Yeah.
I enjoy coaches, chairmen, players that come here and are honest. When they stand in front of the media, they're honest.
Yes.
I love that, and I didn't see anything wrong with it, but I understand. Chiefs is a huge brand, and perhaps that's not what they want to hear.
Yeah, I think that would be the worry for me. So, right now you've got a Langelihle Phili, and he said that he needed 4 attackers. So what does that say about the Mfundos, the Velebais that were already there? Are you saying you need more quality, or are you saying you just need competition for them? Phili is going to be competing with Velebai, who people were hoping this would be his breakout season. So it's going to be interesting to see how he manages the squad moving forward.
That's a headache you want as a coach, right? You want
definitely
a lot of players. What did Gamza once call it when he was interviewing Pizzo? Do you remember that famous clip? What was it, Pro?
Embarrassment of riches.
An embarrassment of riches. He said he was doing was working next door at the time, and he had an interview at the end of the match, and I think they had lost the match. So he says, Coach, you go and lose the match and you look at your bench, you've got an embarrassment of riches.
Embarrassment of what?
Jingles. Hopefully we're going to be seeing Jingles soon. Interacting with the media. Okay, let's move on. Orlando Pirates. 27-year-old Norwegian striker Pedersen has been added to the squad. We now found out he was even in Spain with them, so they've seen him with the rest of the team. They've been able to play other teams with them. Have a listen to what Coach Wadu had to say.
And I think he's integrating the group. As you see, last season we need this finisher, this profile that can finish the action. And I think the scouting department have seen him. We have seen him. We have studied him, and I think it's somebody who can bring us his freshness, his quality, his competencies, and it's why it's very important for us to have him a couple of days in Spain. Trying to integrate him.
So there you have it. He didn't play in Spain because the games I saw he wasn't there. And when I looked up the lineups, I didn't see him play, but he was part of the team, as the coach has said. Tintin, Orlando Pirates, they've gone to Norway, and it's so cool. Like, to get a 27-year-old from the Norwegian team who once played at junior levels of the national team, it seems a good buy.
Definitely. I mean, it's not easy to get quality players from that side to come and play in South Africa. So the only thing that I'm hoping for is that he adjusts quickly to the PSL, because it's different. You can come from Europe and be a struggle for you to find your feet. So I'm hoping that he's going to inject some positivity to the team, because they need goals. I mean, with Utseho leaving, and when we count the goals amongst Umbutuma, Nwanasesi, they don't bring up the greatest numbers for strikers. So I'm hoping that he's going to give them a push into the right direction and will help Pirates score goals, because it's something that we've been crying for, saying the strikers, they need goals, they need to score, they need to be competitive. And once there's iron that's going to sharpen the other iron, I think they will do great as well.
Piso, did you look him up?
Yeah. I looked it up. I think it was 8 goals in 14 games last season, about 12 goals in 28 games the previous season, 11 goals in 30 games the previous season. So he's sort of like a 1 goal every 2 game striker. And if you're looking at the PSL, that would be around 15 goals.
That's the leading top goal scorer.
Yeah, that's that territory. Like Utlola said, though, it's all about acclimatizing. It's all about how he integrates with the team, and also with a striker like this, how the team services him. You see, the coach has to put up a system that's going to get him into areas where he can finish and score goals, because like they said in their statement, this is a one-touch finisher. So you need to get him in areas where he is, scoring those goals. And I looked at some of his videos also.
Who would you liken him to? If there was a local player that you could say, expect this sort of thing. You're speaking about a one-touch finisher. You're speaking about, who would you liken him to?
It's a tricky one, because...
What's Timmy saying? Shall we leave?
Is that Gyökeres? from Arsenal.
No. Here at home.
Here it's a little tough because, like I said, it's a range of finishing that I saw from him. There's shots from outside the box where he creates,
which is an Orlando Pirates staple.
Exactly, right. You saw Haaland do that at the World Cup against Brazil. Created space for himself, shoots from outside the box. The accuracy also, he can get into the box also, and if you put crosses in, he has the elevation to be able to get to those headers. Some accuracy with that elevation also. So he's a finisher. You can see that he's someone that knows where the net is. He knows how to finish. So that's why I'm saying that the service is going to be so important, where you're not asking him to create it on his own. You're getting him into spaces where he is just finishing.
So he's a typical 9?
He's a typical 9. He's a typical, but a well-rounded 9 that can play the game. I think that's the most important thing. You don't just want a player that will be waiting for service to him. You want a player that can, drop into certain positions. And he will do something with it.
That's
the thing. That's the thing. Listen, but then the lower division, some of the games I was seeing, the pitches were not incredible.
Yeah,
of course, better standard, but
this is not new for us to have a player from a European league. One of the better players that we've seen come from. Remember Matthew Patterson, I think it was.
Yeah,
Matthew.
Talent.
Remember Matthew? Yeah. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Matthew was a great talent. He came from England.
He was not playing one touch.
No, for sure. He was a player.
Yeah.
He was a player.
I'm saying it's South Africa, so one touch, you need to be special.
Then I was joining the conversation.
No, Sundowns have Brian Leon, who's a one-touch finisher, a player that doesn't need second invitation inside the 6-area box. He finishes everything, even from awkward angles. When I saw I'm a highlight of that new Pirates striker, I could see Uguti. They wanted someone that can do almost the same thing. Looking at the chances that Uyanela, Umahopa that they've missed, Radio Pan is also coming all right, but with the matches that he played, you could see Uguti, he was playing far away from the goals, and they needed someone that can play inside the 6-area box, someone that is deadly in the 18 area. So he comes in a Paris team that is winning games, that is high in confidence. I strongly believe Uguti, the teammates, they are going to help him. Konabo Andre de Jong as well, who are still waiting in the wings. Konabo Msedami, who are still waiting. Moremi just came back from the World Cup. Apolis has came back from the World Cup. So they are going to support him, Gakulu, especially in matches where, in low-profile matches where he will need to acclimatize more. I think Pirates fans are going to love him, provided that the teammates, they support him on the field. We can't wait to see what else he can bring to the Betway Premiership. Hopefully, it's going to be one of those additions that bring excitement to our league.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be coming from Europe and you're coming here, the expectation is that you're going to deliver. Benny McCarthy, coming from Europe, came here and set this league alight. Do you know what I mean? Even at an uncomfortable weight, he was able to come here and still add. Tsepo Masilela, coming from, Spain, came here and added. So that's the expectation. Well, I'm not sure what that smile is about, so I'm going to leave you alone. John Committees was here. He was sitting, of course, at the table with the chairman in the private room, in the executive lounge, and he spoke about Emile Witbooi. So here he is here talking about Emile Witbooi being a generational talent. Have a listen to him on a generational talent that is Emile Witbooi.
Certainly the young man, at 17, showing the ability that he is. I think that's the next big talent out of this country. I think Emile, I've had 4 players in my career that I can put in the same category. That's Benny, that's Serrero, that's Emile, and who was the 4th one? There was another one that we also had that was a high level. Those were the 4. So these players are special.
So that was me trying to say, is it Karma perhaps? It says no, not Karma. So I don't know who that 4th could have been.
Steven Pienaar, maybe?
It could have been Skilo.
Khanyisile Siwahla was also really young when he broke on. And
Piso, let's package this and then send it out and see what people say.
Yeah.
Siwahla's another one. But I think he meant Stephen.
I know it's Pienaar because he's the first player that they sold overseas. If he didn't mention Benny, I was going to say maybe Lebo Manyama because they also sold Lebo Manyama straight to the Turkish league. But
no. I don't think you put Lebo's a great talent, but I don't think you put him in that pool. So I think Stephen could be it. Well, he then went on to talk to us about Emile Witbooi and whether he moves or not or stays, and what's the future looking like?
Sometimes players in South Africa get to 2021 before they start showing that kind of mentality. And he was from 16 already had that mentality in place. So I'm very positive that by the end of the season, and we need him very much so with this attempt to win the league. But I can't see him staying here for more than one this season if he's going to even stay with us for the season. I mean, he's got there's so much interest now. MLS clubs are calling us and wanting to know what is the kind of terms and conditions. So it's a matter of time.
Also, what's important here is, and Timmy, you're standing right here, you can correct me here, no serious advances have been made or no offers have been made by any local team. So not Chiefs, not Pirates, not Sundowns, not Golden Arrows, not Amazulu, not Durban City. No one has made an offer locally. And he does mention there that there is teams outside of South Africa that have said something. Emile Witbooi, most likely to spend another season in the second tier of South African football, playing out at Cape Town City, Bisu.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by the no offers, I think a lot of times
this is the player's player of the season.
Yes,
at 17 years old in the MFC.
I'm not surprised, because I think a lot of times as South African football fans, we make signings on social media ourselves, and we speak so much about something and make it so real. Now we've got AI, we can create a poster, we speak so much about these things that we genuinely believe that the club is definitely doing something if they can see all of this. But a player that is top quality, I think from that interview I sort of understood the valuation a little bit, because he was talking about how we have to keep him because we expect him to get us back to the league. He's that much of a quality player. And if you're looking at how much money they will make if they get back to the league, if you're buying him, you have to give us that type of value for the player, because he believes that he can actually promote them. And for him to get that player of the season, it shows you that even the players in the lower division recognize the talent that he is at 17 already. So a top player. I still wish to see him playing either for one of the big teams or in Europe, if that's going to be an option.
I mean, if you go listen to that interview, he broke down the Pirates Sundowns rumors to say, we're not sending him anywhere where he's not going to play. Is he going to play at Sundowns? Is he going to play at Pirates? And I asked, how do you then guarantee that? I said, there is no way you can guarantee that. So if we're sending him out, it needs to be a deal that works for the boy as well. It can't just be we sold him for big money. With that being said, Emile Witbooi, making history at his age to be the player's player of the season in possibly a league. And when I say tougher, I don't mean it's more it's more talented. No. In a league that's possibly even tougher than the Betway Premiership.
And a lot of players, they're struggling to play in that league. You come from Betway Premiership and you go to the Motsepe Foundation, you'll find a lot of players are struggling to cement their place there. And you'll find them moving around from one team to another, purely because it's difficult. It's very tough to play in that league. And for me, that boy is special, Putandile. I just wish that any club, can save that boy's career. I think I'm not saying that he's lost at Cape Town season. I'm not saying that his career will not blossom, but I think he deserves to play 4 or 5 competitions per season, not just league games, and wait for a Nedbank Cup before we see him on our TVs. I think there's a team out there I know that can spend enough money to lure the talent
but
back
will
to
he
the
play?
And if not,
I'm assuming you meaning Sundowns. Will he play?
Pardon?
I'm saying I'm assuming you're talking about Sundowns, and if that's the case, does Emile play at Sundowns with the talent they have?
I wasn't even talking about Sundowns, but Andy, I was looking at the teams that I feel he can play in.
You said money. I think that's why we thought, because when you say money,
you can see obsession here Pirates with the young ones recently. They really spend money.
Does he play at Pirates?
Pardon?
Does he play at Pirates?
Oh yes, he does. That boy is special, but Andy. I don't want to say much, but that boy is special. I love him. Let me not say much.
Well, that doesn't agree. Well, does he play at Pirates?
Guarantee. He can play, he cannot play. It's not a guarantee. They have fairly enough talent, same as him. Look at the boy they just gave the Relemo Fukeng's number. It must tell you. It must tell you the belief that they have on that boy. I'm not saying, oh, that boy is different or whatsoever, but when you're going to go to a team that has so much talented players as well, you have no guaranteed. That would be based on who's performing on that day or that week and who grabs the opportunity. So if you are saying it's guaranteed he's going to play at Pirates, I disagree.
All right, but what do you think? He's a generational talent, you agree?
Definitely. He's one for the future. I'd love to see him playing in the Betway before he can jet off maybe to go to Europe, because I think a lot of people missed out on Benny's talent, They missed out on Benny's talent because he did not play that much in SA. They only were amazed when starting to see him in the screens. But that boy deserves to get that exposure so that it can be seen worldwide. Because when he's there in the NFT, he's stuck. They have to rely on clips where you don't have any assurance as to will he be able to track back and help the team mark, or they are only cutting clips where he's doing good. I mean, in a 90 minutes, a good clip can consist of 2 minutes or 3 in an individual player. So what happens in that 87 minutes? We want to see that, and the consistency that he can bring and will help him grow to become even a better player than what he is already.
We haven't forgotten. It was one of our, a friend of the room, really, Basha. She comes in, we have conversations. We have conversations. She speaks very well of you, by the way. We have great conversations about the industry that she's in, which is, the team and player manage, not team, but player managers necessarily. Do you have a clip? Yeah. Well, here she is speaking about the Buthelezi deal, because I didn't see that deal happening, guys. I was like, whoa, when it happened. But nonetheless, it happened, and it was unexplained for a long time. Buthelezi had come out and said a thing or two about it, but she put it all into perspective. Have a listen.
He didn't leave Pirates under a bad light. He didn't leave on some, thank you, God, I wanted to leave. No, that wasn't how he left. It was me that said to him, okay, cool, I've got this opportunity for you. And he sat down and we looked at this thing, put ourselves in a position where it's like, okay, what's best for your career? Yes, you're happy here. There's no question about the fact that you're happy here. But what's best for your career? It's playing, And we can find ourselves back in the AFCON squad. We can find ourselves in the next World Cup squad because of the ability that you have, but you need to be playing.
Well, there it is. So what Melusi had said before in an interview is that he wasn't aware of his move, right? He had said that he found out a fortnight just before they were to depart for Spain. But it makes sense because Basha then says, I did the deal. I spoke to Sekhukhune, I spoke to Pirates, and then I called him and I said, here is something, if you want to do this is a great deal because then you're going to play. Because remember, they had lost Ronaldo. So for me, it checks out. But I don't know what you're seeing and hearing from it. Your opinions are always valid.
Yeah, I think it's always going to be what he said, what she said, and how people interpret it. But I think it's a good move for him at the end of the day. I mean, you're looking at a player that was at Pirates for 3 years, and in that 3 years, I think he played 24 games. You see, and
has it been 3 years?
It's been 3 years.
No, Biso.
It's been 3 years.
Yeah. Gee whiz. It was 3 seasons ago when he was doing those miracles at TS.
Yeah, so
feels like just yesterday.
And I'm so glad that you said when he was doing those miracles, we know the quality that he is as a goalkeeper. You want to see him playing regularly, and it's obvious that Orlando Pirates really trust the Sipho Chain and Uatu really trust the Sipho Chain. So you would want Buthelezi to also get some minutes, and I'm really happy for him. I hope it works out for him at TS Galaxy, and he plays regularly and shows the quality that we've always known that he has. Because in that 24 games that I'm speaking about, I think he had something like 12 clean sheets. So you can see the quality. He's able to keep the ball out of the net. So hopefully it works out.
Melusi Buthelezi moved from Orlando Pirates to Sekhukhune.
Great goalkeeper. Has a potential to even become better, but only if he plays. You are as good as your last game, and you're going to improve the more you play as a goalkeeper. Once you sit outside, you rust. So I think it was a best move for him, as much as it does not guarantee the first lineup because he's competing with Toast. I'm not sure if he's still there or not. He's also one of the best goalkeepers we have in the Premiership. So he needs to up his game, and definitely will start seeing the glimpses of what a good goalkeeper he is, because I've shared the change room with him. I know his quality, I know his capability, I know where he lacks. But he's one for the future as well. Sekhukhune did not make a mistake. Now they have two great keepers, Toaster and Buthelezi. They will sharpen each other. Whoever that gets the first call to play, he mustn't drop it.
I mean, a great goalkeeper, this we know, but moving from Orlando Pirates, a treble-winning team that's guaranteed Champions League football, he wants his place back in Bafana, doesn't want to compete, well, that's not him really, is not going to get to compete with a player that's already at Bafana set up in order to prove his worth. He's moved to Sekhukhune Pro.
I wish other goalkeepers can take an example from him. I won't mention names, but their goalkeepers, it's been now 5 or 6 seasons, they've never played. They're always their choice, and they're just scared to leave their comfort zones. And they don't want to leave, the certain clubs. They want to stay as long as possible.
Are they under your payroll? Are they at Amazon?
No, I don't. All my goalkeepers played last season.
Okay. Are they KZN at all, these keepers we're talking about?
They're in South Africa. And I just wish, man, we don't lose such South Africa, because South Africa, we've got a problem with goalkeepers. I think everybody knows this. We need South African boys to get the opportunity to play, and I strongly believe with Umelusi joining Sekhukhune is going to get minutes. We are starting a new cycle now of qualifiers. AFCON and World Cup, it's coming up, AFCON next year. So we need our local goalkeepers to start playing games. And I feel for Umelusi Uguti, he has made the right move. It caught everyone by surprise, but he has made a good move. He's made the right move. I think he's going to play more games at Sekhukhune and hopefully challenge for that spot in the national team. And we wish him nothing but the best. And I know that he's going to prove his quality. I've known him for a very long time. I know that he's a quality goalkeeper. And the experience that he has gained at Paris playing alongside Usipho, I think is going to be valuable going to Sekhukhune, and is going to help them a lot in terms of helping Sekhukhune achieve better results this season than last.
Listen, I wanted to go into Basha Michaels also feeling vindicated on the Mbogazi deal, but we just don't have the time if we're